and thank you so much for your lovely comments on my channel. This is the Jessica Brimer channel, and I'm Evangelist Jess Brimer. I want to share some things with you today, and what I'm about to share with you is one of those stories you hear. You don't know whether to laugh or to cry. Honestly, that's how strange it is. Usually in a country like Nigeria, when election comes, you find yourself hearing things like, oh, it's a choice between two thieves. Who is the better thief? That's one thing Nigerians have, come to endure over the years. And now, this time around, Nigerians were caught between the deep blue sea, choosing between a power-drunk, tyrannical Aisha Buhari and a jihadist who threatened to deal with anybody that dares mourn the stoning of Deborah. Remember Deborah, the lady that was stoned to death by young Islamic militants? Well, I give you the full gist. This young man, Aminu Mohammed, wrote something on social media about the president of Nigeria. If you notice, Aisha looks a bit bloated. She was that trim, slim, elegant-looking woman that campaigned for her husband, going to the street, frying akara with the market women and assuring everybody how humane and humble she is and how her husband's administration will be the best thing that ever happened to Nigerians. Aisha Buhari was a very slim woman before her husband got into power. Now she looks very, very fat. Some people say don't use the word fat on people. Well, she looks overweight, so I'm not using the word fat. Very, very overweight. So this young man, who is a northerner like Aisha Buhari, an Islamic militant like Aisha Buhari's husband, he decided to write the post and say Aisha Buhari is looking so fat, feeding fat on poor people's money. Aisha Buhari didn't find it funny at all. When you are in position of power, you're restrained. That's one thing you learn. You don't go after everybody. You don't see every nail that as something that you must hammer down and deal with. No. One of the qualities of leadership is being able to ignore offenses, ignore abuses, just rise above it. But Aisha Buhari refused to rise above this. The news has it that Aisha Buhari got his men to arrest this young man, who is an undergraduate in a university in northern Nigeria. They arrested him, took him to Aso Rock, and gave him the beating of his life. Stories have it that Aisha Buhari actually joined in the beating, wanted to kick the boy with his leg. I beg your pardon, I'm sorry. Wanted to kick the boy with her leg and then fell down and was rushed to hospital. I heard the news. I read the news about Aisha Buhari being rushed to the hospital because she broke her leg. I didn't know it had to do with when they were trying to mete out violence on this young man. But the news has it that was how she broke her leg. She was so angry. She wouldn't just let her men do the beating, that she joined in the beating and kicked the guy, and she fell down and was rushed to hospital. Now, it's possible this bit did not happen. It's possible that she didn't kick the boy. It's possible that was not why she fell down and was rushed to the hospital. I want to give her the benefit of doubt on that story. But on the other ones that we know is the truth, because Aisha Buhari got his men to beat this boy up. After beating him up, he was locked up. Then the outcry started. Nigerians started crying out. The boy's family started crying out that we're denied access to this boy, even as he's locked up in jail without trial. So when this started, Aisha Buhari quickly took the boy to court. What are you charging him to court for? Defamation is a bailable offense. You're not supposed to lock him up forever. The boy was denied bail and he was put back in prison and locked up. Oh, Nigerians started giving Aisha the abuse of her life, as in, if you are sensitive to abuse, here is more. They abused her left, right, center, and reminded her that, yes, that she looks very bloated, that she had no reason to, lock up the boy because the boy was stating the obvious. The debate about whether she's feeding fat on people's money can be argued this way. Her husband is being fed by the Nigerian government. Oh, yes. Her husband, the food they're eating in Aso Rock comes out of the budget and the money from taxpayers' money in Nigeria. So the boy is right by saying you're feeding fat on poor people's money. But I understand that the boy implied that Aisha had embezzled money, and Aisha wanted to deal with Buhari, say, come and tell me where I embezzled money. Well, Madam Aisha, that what you have just done is a dance of shame, real dance of shame. You had no right to lock this boy up. You had no right to mete out violence on this young man, especially because you know that your husband's government is full of violence. Look at the killings your husband's administration has brought to Nigerians. Opening up the borders to Fulanis to come from other parts of West Africa to come and kill the indigenous population and take over the land. Aisha Buhari, are you happy about the security situation in Nigeria where people are being kidnapped daily and slaughtered? These days, the headsmen, killers, murderers, they ask for ransom. When the millions of naira is paid to them as ransom, they still slaughter the person and sell body parts. They've entered into the sale of body parts, organs, kidneys, heart, different organs of the body. That's what they are selling now. So they're not just kidnapping for ransom, they're slaughtering people and selling their organs. Aisha Buhari, you heard about what is going on. You just want to rub it down our nose that you don't care. You hear a lot of northerners even confessing that these killers come to their homes, pull out their daughters, rape the daughters in front of the fathers. After raping them, they slaughter them. The fathers cannot do anything. That's what Aisha Buhari's husband has brought to Nigerians. I was one of those that supported him initially when he was running, when everybody said this man is uneducated, he doesn't have a certificate, even first school living certificate, that Buhari didn't have it. Then why should they allow him to be president of Nigeria? My own reasoning was this. Before President Jonathan came into power, the Niger Delta militants were terrorizing everyone, terrorizing the country in the sense that they were kidnapping oil workers and demanding ransom. They were blowing up oil rigs. That was what they were doing. They were not even kidnapping innocent Nigerians or raping anybody. They were not doing that. They were not slaughtering people in the bushes as Buhari's kinsmen are doing, and Buhari is supporting them. They were not doing that. But I said, as Jonathan came to power, Jonathan was able to, speak to his kinsmen, calm them down, and say, what do you want? They said, we want scholarship. We want to go to school. A lot of them were sent abroad on scholarship, even though some of the people in charge of scholarship ate most of the money meant for them. But most of them were sent, and then we had peace. We had peace. They shielded their sword, and they stopped the killings. They stopped, I beg your pardon, they stopped blowing up oil rigs, and they stopped kidnapping export trade oil workers. We had peace. I said, so Jonathan was able to achieve that. Why don't us use Buhari to achieve peace? Since Boko Haram are threatening us with killings and everything, and they once said they wanted Buhari to be their representatives at the negotiating table with the federal government. So I just reason like, if Buhari becomes the president, then he will be there negotiating with them, and there'll be no war anymore. How naive I was. I didn't know that Buhari's plan was come to Fulanize the country through terrorism. Nobody saw that coming. So Aisha Buhari, remember how you kept telling us that your government will be the best thing, your husband's government will be the best thing that happened to Nigerians. You campaigned rigorously for your husband, and you assured us that there'll be no corruption. Your husband will bring an end to corruption. You told us a story, Aisha Buhari, that you heard that before anybody could see the president or vice or first lady of Nigeria at that time, that people used to pay money to see them, bribe the officials to see them. You said you were going to bring an end to all those corruption and all that. But Buhari, Aisha, under your husband's APC government, corruption has become worse. Cost of a bag of rice during Jonathan's administration was 5,000 naira. Aisha Buhari, it is now 47,000 naira. In some cases, 50,000 naira. And I'm talking about locally made rice, not the imported one. Your husband closed the borders and said nobody should import rice again. He's starving Nigerians to death. Aisha Buhari, can't you enter the other room and help us speak to your husband? Can't you enter the other room and see if you can bring out a bit of humanity in this your husband that all he cares about are cows and cattle rearers? Aisha Buhari, did you hear the other day, Aisha Buhari, a northerner, this story is on social media, Aisha, if you don't believe me, Google it. A northerner said that the NNPC budget has it that NNPC used 20 million naira to buy recharge cards to make phone calls. This man said they also said they used 30 million naira for refreshments According to the man, just to give people coke and tea and entertain them in the office, they spent 13 million naira and they spent 20 million on recharge cards. He reminded us that Buhari is the Minister of Petroleum in this country. That Buhari is sitting there and watching an NPC officials steal Nigeria rotten just because they are his Fulani brothers that he appointed there. So Aisha Buhari, where is the end of corruption you promised us as far as your husband's administration was concerned? Where is it, Aisha Buhari? Rather than help us, talk to your husband that is not listening to anybody except listening to cows and Fulani herdsmen. Rather than help us come in there, you are inflicting violence on a young Nigerian boy. That boy comes from a home. That boy has parents. That boy has blood flowing in his veins. Aisha, if anybody does that to your son, how would you feel? How would you feel? And then this is it. This is the I don't know whether it's the funny part of it or is a part of it, of the story that would have been funny if it wasn't tragic. It's very tragic. This same Aminu Mohammed, that Nigerians raised up a voice to free from Aisha's wickedness. Because when the noise became so much, Aisha Buhari decided to release the boy, and she has taken off the case from the court. This same young man talk about when you live by the sword, you perish by the sword. This same young man was the young man that threatened people in Bauchi State that if they dared to mourn the girl, the young lady that was stoned to death by his fellow jihadists, he said if they dared to mourn, he would deal with them. And you know, when these Islamic militants that have no blood running in them, when they threaten you, what they're saying is that we're going to say you are blasphemed and we're going to stone you to death. He threatened the whole of Bauchi State and said nobody must mourn Deborah that was stoned to death. They had made t-shirts with Deborah's picture in front of it. Aminu Mohammed threatened them and said if he saw anybody wearing that t-shirt, he said we'll deal with them. So he didn't allow them to have the privilege of mourning Deborah. He didn't. It's the jihadist militants with no soul. That's the person Nigerians rose up to speak for. But when Nigerians realized that this guy and Aisha Buhari are just of the same stock, they decided that they were not supporting him anymore. But it was already too late because Aisha Buhari had enough of the abuses from Nigerians, and she decided to release him. What am I talking about? They that live by the sword shall perish by the sword. Buhari and his family have brought violence to Nigeria. Violence will follow them for the rest of their lives. I'm not cursing them. I'm just speaking the word of God. The Bible says that whatsoever you sow is what you reap. Buhari and his family have sown so much violence, so much bloodletting in Nigeria, and that's exactly what they and their generations will reap. Anyone supporting them, that's what you too will reap. If you think it's okay for a group of young men to enter a man's house, rape the daughter and slaughter the daughter, you think it's okay for a group of young men to stand on the road, kidnap people in buses, take them to the forest, collect money for ransom, slaughter them and sell their body parts. If you are supporting this APC government and you think we should continue with this kind of wickedness, well, my brother and sister, I've got news for you. What you sow is what you will reap. Violence will not depart from your house. Oh yes, violence will not depart from your house. Mass murder will not depart from your house. Look at what Buhari APC government turned Nigerians into, and some people are still campaigning for APC. Of course, I know all of you are wasting your time because Buhari has no plans of going anywhere. And I'm going to do a video to explain to all of you why I know that Buhari has no plans of relinquishing power. For today, I'll leave it there. Chew on what I've just said. I will keep praying for Nigeria because I know God will still rules in the affairs of men. Thank you so much.